Hello, this is MykonosFan, and it's time for another round of SEGA Ages reviews. It's been a fair chunk of time since Sonic 1 and Thunder Force 4 hit the Switch eShop, and technically I'm still waiting for the pair in this video to hit America's storefront. Yep, I went and imported a Japanese eShop card to grab a hold of Phantasy Star and Outrun. Here in the States, we won't see Phantasy Star until the 13th of December, and Outrun is slated for a vague early 2019. I was dying to play the latter, so I went ahead and just grabbed both while I was at it. If you're also itching, the games are fully playable in English, but by the time this video is uploaded, there won't be that much more of a wait for official English releases. That said, after a delay for quality concerns and with Sega's dirt poor marketing for these titles in the West in mind, I was a bit concerned with how these versions may turn out. So let's dive in and see what's going on here. We'll start with Phantasy Star as it is the closest to release. It originally came out for the Sega Master System in Japan in December 1987, making it 31 years old this month. This game laid the groundwork for what would become one of Sega's most beloved series, alongside its spin-off series Phantasy Star Online. I've always had an interest in playing this original title, but feared its age and potential obtuse design would turn me off from playing it for long. And I'll be honest, I turned to a guide fairly quickly, which helped me understand some odd quirks. If you haven't played the game before and are checking this game out as a historical curiosity or otherwise, I'd recommend doing similarly, unless you enjoy diving headfirst into archaic games. Once I had a hand helping my modern design-minded mind, I found a lot to enjoy in my time with this title. There's plenty of old-school localization line strings that are amusing to me, and I enjoyed the simple grind of leveling characters and watching the numbers go up. Numbers. Delicious. Phantasy Star has a weird sense of style, taking place in a galaxy system with 3 planets. The game is sci-fi, but kind of pretty tame on that front. There's space travel, robots, etc., but perhaps due to the limitations of the system, the towns you visit all feel quaint and cozy, and you go through a lot of very natural wooded areas, at least in the first planet. There's a charm in the simplicity that has struck even myself, so I feel safe in saying that if you're also a newcomer and enjoy classic JRPGs, you'll get interested in the game pretty quickly and want to see more, much like I did. That said, if you've played the game before, you're probably wondering what separates this release from the rest, and if it's worth your money. There's a lot of quality of life additions here that are great. Thus far, this seems to be the SEGA Ages release with the most extra things added. Right off the bat, there's a new mode that makes the game easier called Ages Mode, with an option for the original game's difficulty listed right underneath of it. In addition, you can choose from original or FM audio. A bestiary is now in the main menu, giving you stats and a short description on each monster you've faced in your save file so far. It even includes the number of each type you've defeated. A bestiary is a pretty minor inclusion all in all, but it's so cool and is such an extra level of care that I can't help but love it. Even better, by adjusting your display options, you can have your party's stats and money on screen at all times, helping you stay more informed during battle. I've gone this far without mentioning this, but Phantasy Star is actually part first-person dungeon crawler. This release of the game maps the dungeons you've been in as you go through, marks staircases, pitfalls, treasure chests, so on and so forth. I cannot imagine playing this game without this feature now that I've experienced it this way. Rivaling that for best additional feature is that anytime you pause your game with the Ages overlay, you get access to a few different lists that tell you what spells do and when you unlock them, what items do and how much they cost, all kinds of helpful information. It's great to be able to quickly reference this anytime you have a question about an item in a store without having to break away from the game to search online. Also, you can change your walk speed in the overlay options to a new, more agile speed. And on top of it all, at the main menu you can find a music player and directly compare any original and FM track with each other. There's a lot of bonus goodies here that do a lot to make this game more welcoming to players new and old. The best part is, if you want to keep it pure and shirk off any of these extras, you are more than welcome to do that as well. Now, I still need to find time to finish Phantasy Star, but I feel pretty confident in recommending it when it comes out on Western storefronts. It's an important part of Sega's history, and the game holds up better than expected, still being enjoyable even with a guide to help out in tricky spots. The last thing I anticipated from 2018 was to be more engrossed in Phantasy Star 1 than a new Pokemon title, but that's where I found myself at. On the opposite side of the coin, Outrun was something I absolutely anticipated getting excited over and losing myself in. Outrun is an arcade title that released in the middle of 1986 and is purely about the thrill of driving to beautiful locations with a great backing score. It's my favorite arcade game, maybe only because I have yet to find a working Outrun 2 cabinet to play, but until then, playing this game again makes a strong case for how I feel. The objective of the game is quite pure. You drive forward, dodge oncoming traffic and navigate trying turns, and choose which branching path you'd like to explore as you race against the timer. Heading to the left generally denotes an easier route, and choosing the paths to the right makes for a harder challenge, with the ones between varying accordingly. Even now, 30 years later, Outrun's simplicity coupled with its still impressive presentation makes it a standout. It's a game so good that as M2 were developing their 3D Classics line for the 3DS, I emailed them complimenting their work and expressing my hope that they'd get to give Outrun the same treatment they were giving the other games. To my surprise, I received a response from the president detailing his passion for Outrun back to me. Given the timing, I'm pretty sure they were working on that release of the game at that moment, looking back. Now speaking of that release, I viewed it as the definitive version of the game when it did release. Proper 16:9 running at 60 frames per second with a bunch of nifty extras like modifiers to make your car faster, handle better, and resist crashes more. It was a spectacular release that stayed true, but threw in interesting adjustments to keep me coming back. The 3D was ridiculously superb as well. While the 3D has been lost in the transition, unfortunately, all of the other additions carry through to this Switch release. Being able to play Outrun at true widescreen on my TV at home is something really special. That said, if you got the 3DS release of Outrun already, getting this release will largely depend on just how much you love the title at its core. In terms of new additions, there are a few new background tracks which I enjoyed, and there's also gyro turning and handheld mode. I tried it for a few minutes, but it honestly just didn't sit well with me. I didn't feel inclined to continue playing the game that way at all. The title also loses the 3DS's version's in-depth audio equalizer and a few sparse sound options as well. And that's pretty much it. Juxtaposed with the Phantasy Star release, it's a bit of a shame how few things have been added for this release of Outrun. It stands to show just how strong that 3DS release was, but I was hoping to find a bit more here. Outrun is still one of the greatest games ever made, so it's absolutely worth a purchase for the uninitiated, but for those who have played every release, there's not much here to make this more appealing in terms of the extras. And let's be honest, the extras are a large consideration for hardcore fans who have likely dipped their toes in every version of these games. I'm still very glad I bought it, and will be playing hours and hours of it, though. So it all works out in the end for me. It'll be up to you and your history with Outrun to decide if this release is worth the dough for you. So that once again brings us up to date with SEGA AGES. I do wish these were releasing at a bit of a faster clip. This initiative does seem to be flying by the seat of its pants a little bit. That said, it's already better than Sega Forever, and if extra time helps keep it from leaning more in that direction, I'll settle for the wait. So, will you be picking up these titles? Have you already? Did this help you decide one way or the other? Let me know down in the comments, or whatever people on YouTube say these days. Until next time, whenever that may be, try to take it easy. This video was graciously supported by the above patrons. Thank you! Bye-bye!